This being our main goal and the main reason that we are here. Why are you here also? Why are you learning? To teach and to better yourselves. Why you learn this? Are you learning this to just to keep it to yourself? No. So you're learning to teach, even if it might be one person. It doesn't have to be on a large scale, but you have the intention in your heart that if the opportunity occurs in a taxi or in a bus or in a subway or in an elevator, wherever it might be, that you will say, you'll explain to an individual, you'll teach them a little something, well, even if it's a verse in the Quran. And يُبَلِّغُ عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةً. Isn't that the Prophet ﷺ said? Yes, he did say that, to convey from me, even if it's one verse. And so that is our objective, and this is what we came here, and this is what we want. So that being said, just picture it that you have this objective, you have this goal, and in our path of life where we're living, and we encounter different things. We encounter many little things that affect an individual, minor conflicts between one another, and arguments and conflicts which affect our relationship with our friend. But is this reasonable grounds to make this minor, small, petty difference affect the main objective that we had? Is it? It's not. It's not reasonable ground. It doesn't make sense for an individual to do something like that. To make this little mushkila, this little problem that they have, and escalate it to a point where it affects this main objective, the main thing that they have. And I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example that makes it clear. For example, say that me and Tusti, or Ustad Tusti, are, for example, we buy a painting or a picture of the Green Dome, for example, that we bought together, and he collectively I gave him like probably $5. He pitched in $5. He's got 5 on it, and we bought a picture of the mosque of the Prophet ﷺ. Now, when we bought this picture, we agreed, for example, that we are going to put this picture in in this room, for example. That there's a room in our house that we share together, that we're going to put it in this room. So what happens? We have a conflict. First, he wants to put it on this wall, under this lighting, in this shading, with this color, in this corner of the room, and I want to put it in a completely opposite corner of the room. But the same objective that we have is that we want it in this room, no matter where it is, even if it's on the roof, or if it's in a completely opposite direction. We have the same objective, that we want this picture to be in this room. Now, this minor difference that we have, that I want it in this corner and he wants it in that corner, is it something reasonable to have a conflict where I build something based on this and just have some kind of enmity against him or not? Of course it's not. And I'm pretty sure we won't do something like that, but in this situation, what would happen? Me being older than Tusti and stronger than him, just take the picture and put it on my wall. Tusti becomes patient, and he practices that humbleness that we just mentioned a couple minutes ago. Another example that makes it clear, in these examples, it's important just to make it clear that in the Quran, that Allah Ta'ala, He mentions many examples. He gives examples, كَصَيِّبٍ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ, and sometimes when there's a meaning that Allah Ta'ala wants to convey, He mentions it in the Quran in an articulate way. He doesn't mention it straight, he doesn't mention it explicitly, but He'll mention a story, or He'll mention an example of two things. And examples play an important role, and the scholars of Islam mentioned, they spoke about example, the role of having examples in teaching or in your daily life. And they mentioned it, and they combined it to the examples that are mentioned in the Quran, where you have ma that represents life, and jahal, which means that represents or ignorance, which represents death, and other things like that. Inshallah ta'ala, I've learned about a lot of these things, and I'll mention it to you. But there are examples in the Quran, amthal, and if you want to use it, amthal, this is the word in Arabic, that there are examples in the Quran, and the purpose of these examples are to depict a certain ideology or a certain message in a way that captures the mind. And one example that has the same meaning that I want to get across to you today is I use Tusti as an example again. Alright, so Tusty accepts. Or is it a volunteer, somebody else that I use? I'll use, where's my brother? Is he here? Raise your hand, man. Alright, I use my brother Sam. I use my brother as an example. I know he accepts, he doesn't have a problem with that. For example, you have me and my brother. We have a house together, an apartment. And all of a sudden, we're inside the house, it's me and him, and all of a sudden, you hear a knock on the door. My brother, I open the door, and somebody comes in with force, just kicks the door open, pushes us down to the ground, ties us up, gags us, and throws us in the closet. For example, and I don't think it would happen, you have two of us, and strong people. But for example, suppose something like this happened. Now, what is my objective and my brother's objective in this scenario? What would one of you want to do if you were enclosed and locked up in a closet? You want to get out. Is there somebody that would actually want to stay in the closet, gagged up, tied to the ground? I don't think there is. So my objective is to get out of the closet. My brother, his objective is to get out of the closet. And we should work together in finding a way to open that door. And you're first finding a way to get the restraints off of us, and then finding a way to open that door. Suppose, for example, say that instead of working together and cooperating and being patient with one another, instead of working together, what do we do? What do I do? Or what does my brother do? We start fighting each other. So you have two people, grown men, locked up in a closet, in a dark closet, no ventilation, and they're fighting. Instead of working together, finding a way to get out and put the perpetrators to court, and our brother's alive, and he's learning law, so inshallah, he has an advantage. This is our objective, to get out of the closet and find the culprits and put them to court, put them to law. But instead of doing that, we start fighting one another. What would you say, what would you think about people like this? Are they intelligent? Would you say they're intelligent people? And they're intelligent, but they let the little differences that they had affect them. And because of this difference, this minor altercation that they had, they did not obtain the major objective that they had, which was to get out of the closet. And if the same example that I gave with the Tusty, that if we had that minor difference of who wants to put that picture in which corner of the room, if we let it escalate, and to the point that we didn't put it in the room, we just took it out, for example, or returned it, the objective wasn't obtained. Now, if something like this happens, what is it? Failure. So it's something that if you don't achieve what you want, it's a failure. So that being said, I reiterate and I reemphasize the importance of working together and cooperating and being humble to one another. It's been longer than I expected, actually. I'll mention one thing before I end. It's almost at stop time. I know you guys are hungry. I'm probably more hungry than you guys are. Or maybe not. But things, all these things I've mentioned, they lead to one thing, which is change. Change. Sometimes change is a very hard thing to do, and a very hard thing to bear sometimes. Change is very hard, and it's obvious when you look into the world and examples of nature and other things. But sometimes it is necessary. Sometimes change is necessary. In a lot of situations, it's very necessary. And things need to change. And not only, just to be on the same page, I don't mean Toronto, for example. I mean the situation of Muslims all over the world. Things need to change. And depending on our motivation and our himmah, the love that we have and the ghira, which means love, yes. So sometimes it's necessary, and sometimes we need to do it for ourselves. And it's a hard process. Brothers and sisters, it's a very, very hard process that to deal with, because it connotates and it means and it has so many things that when things change, you have to change your habits and your traditions, and you have to change the way you treat one another. And these are things that don't happen overnight. They do not happen. Three times in one lesson. This is something that does not happen overnight. Change is something that does not happen overnight. for an individual to change his habits and his, the way he deals with things. It does not happen overnight. It takes time, but it is beneficial. Now I'll give you another example, another method, which is this comes from nature. Nature, and something very beautiful. And you look at the ants and you have many, and he is someone who's an intelligent person. He looks at nature, he takes an ibra, and he takes a lesson. Al-mu'minu kayyisul fatin, which means that the Muslim is an intelligent person. He is keen, and he is observant to certain things. Just to get off topic, this hadith, it's another story. I know you guys are hungry. I'm not going to mention it. Go back to what I said, that we are intelligent individuals, and we need to make a change. And the example I'm going to paint, the picture that I'm going to paint for you vividly, is that of the bald eagle. You know that eagle? I'm pretty sure all of you guys know what the eagle is. It's the most dominant bird out there in the sky. The most dominant. It's the symbol of the United States of America. Has many meanings, representations. From these meanings that it holds is the strength. This bird represents strength. And it's true, it is the king of the skies, if you want to say. It is the most dominant species of birds out there. Now this bird, the average has the longest lifespan of any other bird out there. 70 years. More than many other people that eat. The average lifespan is 63 years in this era. So this bird lives up to 70 years. Has the potential, the possibility to live up to 70 years. Now this bird, in order for it to live to 70 years, at the age of 40, it has to go through change. It has a choice to make at the age of 40. Either die, like the other birds, or go through the difficult process of change. This is the two options it has. To either die, or to accept change and to change itself. So what happens at the age of 40, because that powerful beak that it has, it becomes dull. It's not able to eat anymore. He's not able to tear his prey like he used to. It's all at the age of 40. The talons that he had, the claws, they're dull also, weary. He cannot grab his prey like he used to. The feathers, the big feathers, the mighty feathers that he has on his wings, they become heavy. He cannot hold it up. They become attached to his body, so he cannot fly. So he's basically facing extinction or death. So at the age of 40, he has that choice to make: either die or go through the difficult process of change. So what does it do? It climbs to the highest mountaintop that it finds. It builds a nest, and it stays there for a long period, 5 months. 5 months it stays there. What does it do? The first thing it does, it goes and it takes its beak, that beak that it had that's weary. He takes it and starts banging it against the wall on a boulder, on a stone. He starts hitting it, really. He takes that beak and he starts hitting it until it falls out. Then he waits. He sits there in his nest and he waits until a new one grows up, a new powerful one, razor sharp. And what does he do with that new beak? What do you think he does? All of those talons, the claws that he has, he pulls it out, one by one. One by one, he pulls out the talons that he has. He pulls it out. This is something strange. I don't know if I'm just like, is it just me by myself? Then he pulls every single one out and then he waits for it to grow. And he's patient. And he waits until a new one grows. After that, what does he do? He plucks out every single feather. That feather that he had on his back that became weary and cannot hold his body weight. He plucks every single one out also. Every single feather. And he waits after that. After the process, he waits. And this whole process takes 5 months. And this is a process of change. It's not change or it's not, this is change. It's the definition of change. So he goes through this process. It takes 5 months for it to occur. But after that, what does he do? He takes the famous, they call it the rebirth of the eagle. He flies again. He opens his wings and he flies. He takes to the cliff and he flies and he adds another 30 years to his lifetime. Another 30 years. Now this is change, and it's a very difficult process, but things need to change here in Toronto, and things need to change in the Muslim world all over, in the Muslim nation everywhere, not only in this city. And inshallah ta'ala, working together, this will occur. This needs a motivation, it needs a lot of hard work, it needs patience, it needs cooperation, it needs humbleness, And but it's possible. And Allah Ta'ala and the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned that this deen is going to be victorious. And Allah Ta'ala promised us that this deen, that this religion is going to be victorious. It's just a matter of time. Who wants to be part of it? And it's beneficial for him, that he benefits. If he doesn't, he has his grave. He can go back to work, have family, have kids, and just wait to die. So that being said, inshallah ta'ala, I hope you guys benefited. And there are certain meanings and certain things I want to convey. Hopefully you guys understood the meanings and implement them, not only you, but me as a Muslim. And inshallah ta'ala, we work together and enjoy your iftar. Barakallahu feekum. نخلي يا أحباب. If you guys want to read also, Fatiha is one of our brothers. He's sick. His name is Muhammad Ali Taj. So I'll read the Fatiha for him and for the rest of the Muslims and for Shaykh Abdullah also. And don't forget the Tahleel. Brothers and sisters, and speak a tahleed in the salat ala nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات، رب اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات، رب اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات. بارك الله فيكم.